Good evening, Shadow People. Welcome to our collective. At the request of MightyBender, I must ask that you do not speak of what you hear or see in this video to anyone who is of dull-witted mind or weak spirit. Topics of such importance as these should not be allowed to reach the ears of those who are not capable of appreciating or even fully understanding them. If you cannot fathom the meaning of what I just said, then you are not the caliber of person that is allowed to be privy to the information contained on this album. Furthermore, you are exactly the type of person that Shadow People openly opposes. Now then, I apologize for that, but it was something we feel must be stated. If you feel that you may be one of the people of low caliber that I was just speaking of, I ask that you stand up, turn around, and walk with haste away from your computer. If you are here, it means that you are in search of something. What that something is, may be known to you, and not yet found, or a complete mystery. Firstly, allow me to introduce myself. I am called Stormaze. I'm the public relations representative for TGR, a recording label dedicated to music that makes you feel. Perhaps more importantly, I am the voice of Shadow People, a far more covert and quite important group of persons. Nobody knows just what it is Shadow People is about. That, my fellow humans, is what this very recording is all about. Now then, I shall proceed. Shadow People is a collective of persons of like mind who live in a manner that we call within and without. This means within our global society, yet without many of the confines that burden others. You may be silently asking, how is that even possible? To which I will say, it is quite possible, with great skill and a mindset that is singular to our collective. That is why many of you will not fathom what it takes to be a part of Shadow People. Let us continue. In order to live in the manner which we live, one must first experience an overwhelming amount of pain and loss. Only then will it be possible to begin to understand our minds. One must also have a severe disliking of unwarranted authority. These are only the first steps to realizing what it means to be a shadow person, or Shadow Peep for short. The next step, equally as important, is to have developed some manner of doctrine, code, or system in your life. This code must contain the following attributes: a dedication to truth, a knowledge of right and wrong, free of the influences of others, as many people seem to have skewed, unpure ideas about what is right or wrong. A desire and ability to do something that incites change. This can be anything, from creating music, as many of our collective currently do, to simply being willing and able to take the action to cause what change you feel the world needs. If certain actions are needed, like breaking an unjust law, then you must be willing to take those actions and break that law, and break the face of anyone who may stand in the way of your righteous path. Which brings us to our next requirement. willingness to do what you must, for the reasons you know are right and honest. This includes committing acts of unfathomable kindness, selflessness and worth. This also means being able to commit acts of violence, even if it is severe, and even if those around you are adverse or opposed to your actions. Especially then, Shadow People is dedicated to fighting adversity, which is the main focus of the next requirement: strength of character and imposition of will. Another important reason you may be listening to this may be that you have noticed an increase in the lack of honor, caring, intelligence, and morality of the people around you. Imposing your will and morality on people such as these, people we refer to as Okra people, is something that you will have to do on a daily basis, without shirking or giving in to the constant idiocy of others. Imposing one's will is an effective way to influence others. We, Shadow People, believe that we must influence the minds of others to redirect the path of those who have fallen under the proverbial spell of those who are truly in control. Far too many have become blinded and deaf to the evils of these largely unknown and unseen individuals. We believe that the majority of the global population is aloof or unconcerned when it comes to matters of great importance. The faceless persons in control of so many minds have you right where they want you. It is by that design that things have taken such an ill-fated turn. It is their desire to keep their power. In many ways, we are all programmed. We've been programmed to think a certain way, live along a certain path that these cowards have paved. Like sheep, the populace has been herded down a road that leads to the limbo of the mind and prison of the spirit. There is a chance, if one stops and really takes a closer look, that one may see the results of the control that I am speaking of. The results of so many years of programming and delusion. The next time you are out and about your city, see objectively, see with eyes that see the truth of things. We so easily brush off what is as plain as day if we only take the time to see it. It shows in the simplest, as well as the most complex aspects of our daily lives, from the concept of money, which could have just as easily been dirt, to the idea that one must work a scheduled week, or act a certain way in public. Some of this can be good, manners and courtesy for example, and perhaps you can see the beginnings of what we are speaking of in the plain, disturbing lack of either courtesy or manners as you go about your day. Isn't it a shame then that there is but a small percentage of people that truly know what either of those concepts are? We think so, but unlike so many of you, Shadow People do not just write off the problems we see as a shame. No, indeed, we have chosen the truer path, taking action to do our part to nudge, jostle, and even slap people awake from their forced sleep. Of course, those who are asleep do not think that is so, hence our opposition to adversity. It is these very things that Shadow People oppose with ardent passion. Yet, every day, more and more of the populace succumb to the will of sinister, greedy, manipulative villains. All the while, the weak-minded, who are victims of these villains, believe that they are in control of their own lives. This is not the case, and Shadow People refuse to accept the dominion over our lives by such deceptors. The unknown controllers of our society have purposefully made it so it is easier to ignore the problems we face than it is to actually face them. But shadow peeps believe that it is far more dangerous to be afraid than it is to be overt, and it is far more deadly to ignore these specters, these deceptive controllers, than it is to fight them. And fight them we shall, in our way, with our special ideas, and our unique sounds, and our desire to return our kind to the real world. And now, you may be asking, how do we combat such enemies? Enemies we cannot see, and cannot physically fight. Enemies that reside, perhaps, just next door, or even in your circle of friends, and are not always so easy to spot. The answer is simpler than you may think. The solution is found within the very mediums that the enemy uses to control our population. Those of music, film, speech and direct, purposeful action. Perhaps the most effective of these mediums is music. ShadowPeople is made up of many persons who are dedicated to music, and provide a real, true, audio message for you to not only hear, but feel. Much unlike the tainted versions of music and other mediums, force-fed to the population by our mutual adversaries, something that strikes anger and opposition into the very core of every shadow person. How is music something that is powerful enough to influence change and combat the falsities of our society, you may be wondering. If indeed you are wondering, then you are not worthy to be a part of what ShadowPeople is about. Yet, in the spirit of being direct and clear, I will say this. Music, in our view, is one of the only mediums in our universe that can go beyond the normal boundaries of communication, and truly reach into the souls of whomever listens to it. When ShadowPeople create something, whether it is through sound, film, or any of the countless forms of expression, you can be sure it will be with feeling and truth, emotion, freedom, honor, and morality. I want to define our collective. Our founders, MightyBender and Loki, began ShadowPeople with these same values and purposes in mind. Purpose is what drives us. We strive to change our purpose from a purpose of doom to a purpose of bloom. The badass, wicked, dark side music of MightyBender and Loki coexists alongside the many other forms of musical mastery that they produce. Dubstep, chillstep, dripstep, trip-hop, breakbeats, ambient, drum and bass. These are their weapons. Weapons against injustice, the fake, corruption, ignorance, stupidity, greed, lust for power, sorrow, hatred, complacence, and most of all, control of who we are, by those who have no right to possess our minds, or our souls. If you know that you are of the same mind as we, and you would know, as in the minds of ShadowPeople there is no choice but to be the way we are, then you would be welcomed into our collective, without question, or judgment. There is something wrong in our global society. There is, indeed, a select few that have taken control and have us all right where they desire us to be. It cannot continue to be the way it is, and change will not happen if everyone is asleep. ShadowPeople is about bringing a message to those who listen. With music, and will, and thought, we shall cause the change we desire to cause, and live the way we desire to live, all the while, being the people we desire to be. I, Stormize, along with MightyBender, invite you to be a part of something that goes far beyond the programming that has been etched into our existence. We urge you to be, and do more than just live. ShadowPeople, more than just music.